guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm here with a very special guest, my friend Megan. I was so excited because she reached out to me on Instagram asking to collaborate, and of course I didn't hesitate to say yes. This is part 2 of the video. If you haven't watched part 1, please click on the link below and go show her some love by subscribing to her channel.
Hi, I'm Megan. I am the owner of the slowest growing YouTube channel about Japan in general, so please go help a sister out and subscribe to me. I do a lot of different variety of videos, but mostly about my travel or life in Japan or my other travels to other countries, general life advice, and yeah. My goal is to get to 10,000 subscribers. I believe in you. Do that click thing, comment, share, like both of our videos, please.
If you guys want to see more, then please subscribe, and if you want to decide which videos I post next, then please go follow my Instagram at @TheBellaAbroad. In our last video, we talked about America versus Japan and gave some pros and cons for each country. Here are a few more pros and cons, so stay tuned. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Okay, so the next topic we're going to do is America versus Japanese government. Now, this is going to be a heated debate because a lot of people are political. I personally am not a political person. I think every country has their pros and cons. I don't think the politics reflects the individuals of the country either, no matter who they vote for or what they think. But I do think that I'm going to give it to Japan because I like the way they handle the country better. So I feel like democracy is great and all, but socialism's not that bad. It's super comfortable, and there's a lot more, even though you pay high taxes, you don't have to pay ridiculous prices for healthcare. You don't have to worry about having money for retirement that much. You're making decent wages. Everyone kind of making similar salary per year, and there's not like that huge poverty gap. There's not very many homeless people here. There's just not a lot of heated, nasty political fractions. I mean, there are political groups here that go around preaching their word and stuff, but there's just not that much hatred. And there's so much hatred in America based on who you want to vote for. And there's also a lot of issues that are just archaic and constantly brought up.
I have to agree 100% with Megan, and especially with all the violence. I mean, people don't realize that Japan is the safest country in the world. Also, keep in mind that a lot of things that would result in violence are banned as well. So they did a really good job in the beginning with really sorting out how safe they wanted their country to be, which is why I have to give Japan props for that as well. One thing is for example, the coronavirus. As soon as kind of the coronavirus hit, they actually just kind of shut down their country, and I feel like over in Japan, I feel like it's way more peaceful and people can kind of go about their daily life better than we can in America.
Yeah, and I'm living in Japan now with the whole coronavirus situation, and although we've had an increase of cases, I think 800, 1,000 per day almost now, when it was originally 80 to 30 per day because they lifted the lockdown for businesses, so a lot of people go out now and work more. Yeah, everyone's still wearing a mask, and our numbers aren't skyrocketing in Japan, and it's just a lot more controlled, and I think it's because everyone's cooperating, and I think that this environment definitely encourages cooperation so that everyone can have a nice peaceful life. And it's so peaceful here compared to America, which is not peaceful whatsoever.
Now we're going to talk about school. And I have to give kind of America and Japan kind of both a half point for each, because I went to high school in Japan, and I do have to say that Japanese high school is really hard. And in America it is a lot more lenient, way more relaxed, but in Japan they definitely prep you for college, and on top of that, I went 2.5 months without any sort of breaks, and so I kind of started feeling robotic a little bit. I know it sounds weird, but honestly, when you're doing the same thing every day, it is very exhausting. In Japan, high school is known to be harder than in America, but in Japan, college is actually way easier than it is over here in America, which is why I'm going to give both kind of countries a half point for them, because when going to school in Japan, I did have a really great time, but it definitely was a lot more strict. Japan is definitely a lot more advanced when it comes to education stuff, but it is also hard when you're a foreigner trying to go to school in Japan.
So I haven't gone to school for anything in Japan, because I'm too old. but I'll give you my opinion based on what you just said and what I've heard. So in Japan, you have to pay tuition for primary school through high school to go there. So that can be a bit expensive, plus uniform if you go to a uniform school. But I don't think that's going to be nearly as expensive as what the cost of university is in America. Whereas university in Japan's costs are kind of on the lower end. As well as I feel like America has a lot more pressure for people to get master's degrees and just keep like going to school, because everyone has a bachelor's now, so it's not very like special. But on the flip side, in Japan, if you get a bachelor's degree, that is sufficient. You can stop and start working. And the working environment is like easier to get a job, I think, here. So it's like you don't have to worry so much. Whereas in America, you're going to have so much student loan debt and you'll never get out from it, and you'll work for 30 years before you finally pay it off. I do think that America's teaching level is much lower than other countries. Based on all the people I've spoken from different countries, it's just unfortunate. Like the majority of Americans tend to have I think this is a fact, but the majority of Americans have a 4th grade reading level, which is like 10 years old or something. So just being able to have an intelligent conversation with someone in Japan is nice, because everyone's reading level, education level is high enough that you can have a conversation without feeling like you're talking to a child. I do like that America lets you homeschool. Homeschooling is not an option in Japan. I think it's illegal. I think everyone has problems with bullying at some point in school, whether you're in Japan or America or wherever. But if you want to avoid bullying totally, you'd be homeschooled. It's just not an option in Japan. So if you're gonna experience something like that, that might be quite negative and like form you into a less secure adult than you want to be.
The next topic we're going to talk about is racial issues, and I'm going to have to give this point to Japan. Now, in America, I feel like we're going through a lot of racial issues right now, and a lot of things aren't being sorted out, and that's why I'm going to give this point to Japan. Now, the only thing that's a very important factor of me moving to Japan and being a foreigner, I do actually have to leave America a month early because it's going to be really hard for me to find an apartment because I am a foreigner. Now, a lot of times, Japanese apartment owners do not want to even host a foreigner just because we're known as being loud, noisy, we're disruptive, we don't do our trash right. Those are some of the issues of why they don't do it to foreigners. I do know a lot of people who are different ethnicities and they actually prefer living in Japan versus America, and they feel a lot more safe in Japan than they do being in America.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna give it to Japan from other white Americans because they were confused about what my ethnicity was. Because actually, as a white American myself, I've experienced a lot of racism towards me. So I know a first-hand experience like how racist some white and other races can be in America, because there's some sort of environment that just keeps, it's like a bacteria. It's always racist, just always been an issue in America. There's so much like discussion of like, oh, why we're better than them or this or that, and so many different racial slurs. Whereas in Japan, sure, they are racist sometimes and they prefer their own people. They prefer to keep it like all Japanese sometimes. But they don't really talk about it, and it's more like under the cover. So whereas sure, it's definitely an issue here and they should bring it up in some productive ways, but they're not gonna like yell something nasty to you just because they don't like your color or your skin or something. And yeah, you're gonna have some difficulties with maybe jobs and renting, and if you're going to try dating, you might face some of these challenges in Japan. But there's not gonna be like a hate crime, and the police aren't gonna like shoot you just because you're a certain race here. They're just not going to do that. So yeah, I'm going to give it to Japan. The next thing I'm going to talk about is like kind of sexual harassment and sex crimes. I'm going to give it to America because it's been a very serious topic. You can put someone away in jail very easily. Sexual harassment is a huge conversation in the workplace. Whenever you go to work at any company in America, there's just a lot of things in place to like prevent this, to stop it. If somebody touches you even once, like they're gonna be on the sex offenders list. And I think that there's a lot more bravery of women or men to announce it and seek help. Whereas in Japan, it's like the culture of saving face. They don't really want to draw attention. They don't want to stop the train. They don't want to report it or something, just because it's like it wasn't that big of an inconvenience to them, so they don't want to inconvenience others. Or they feel ashamed about it, so they don't want to tell others.
I definitely would have to give that point to America, because I feel like Japan is very stigmatized when it comes to kind of stuff like sexual harassment. I feel like America has a lot more harsher punishments, and like you said, girls do tend to come out a lot more. I was groped on the train and I couldn't do anything about it because that person was of Japanese citizenship, and I could have gotten deported if I would have like hit them. Even though he groped me, Japanese government's always going to take their citizen side, not the foreigner side, and so I just kind of had to sit there and let it happen. And that's just the unfortunate news about kind of sexual harassment and sex crimes in Japan.
Well, the women-only trains are a joke, and I'll tell you why. It's like the last or the first car of the train line only, and it's only from first train, which is like 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 7 a.m., maybe 9 a.m. The peak time of this happening is like rush hours, and usually after work, because that's when guys go drink all together and they're drunk and they're like less inhibition. So it's the wrong time. It's pointless, useless. Sure, at 5 a.m. there's a lot of people getting on the first trains to go home from the bar or club, but at the same time, that's not like a crowded situation usually. It's very sparse, there's plenty of seating. The crowded situation is going to be from 5 p.m. to like 9 p.m. That should be when the women-only train is available.
Now this one's going to be a sensitive subject as well, but we're going to talk about mental health. Now obviously I'm going to give it to America, and there are a few reasons why. America is very good when it comes to mental health sometimes, because like in my high school in America, I had counselors. We could go to a counselor if we were not feeling well. Now in Japan, there was no counselors. There was nothing to do with mental health. We had maybe a paper that we got maybe like once or twice a year that said like a counselor, and it had like a date and a time that we could go to school and like get counseling, but like, is that really gonna help? Suicide is a really big issue in Japan, and it's very normalized. I feel like Japan has such a stigmatized mental health that no one talks about it, and I feel like it's such a big issue in Japan, especially since it's a society where you have to kind of fit in and no one stands out. When you feel like you're kind of outcasted, it is very hard for you as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to America for sure. I think that there's definitely a lack of communication here about mental health, work-life balance, and, you know, suicide in general. There's a lack of counseling as well for like married couples, so there's not really a lot of resources for people to get help or to like improve their, you know, mentality or relationship. I do think America has a very open discussion about mental health now, especially with pharmaceutical companies constantly putting medicine commercials on TV about like antidepressants and everything else. So it's definitely like a big topic. I do think both countries still stigmatize it a lot and people don't seek the help. But you know, we have like websites and apps that like you can talk to a counselor in America really easily. You know, the suicide helpline, everything is like really well known. They've marketed it well, it's accessible. And here, like, I have no idea who I would start to contact about something like that. But I'm sure they have some resources. It's just not as popular, and people aren't going to spend their time doing it. They'd rather go drink away their sorrows than go to a therapist. That's my opinion.
And another thing too is I wasn't even allowed to go to Japan if I was on antidepressants. Like if you wanted to go to Japan in high school, you could not be on any sort of antidepressant medication. Doesn't matter how long, they will not accept you at all. For all the other countries, I'm sure that you can be on some sort of medication for mental health, but Japan, it was like absolutely not. It's the strictest country when it comes to doing foreign exchange. I actually wasn't accepted into AFS because of my antidepressant history. I did not let me taking antidepressants for a week stop me from going to Japan and living my dreams.
That's crazy. I had no idea that they just like say, nope, you can't be here if you take medicine like that. Yeah, let us get on to our final topic. So let's change the mood a little bit. We're going to talk about money. So let's talk about the cost of living. I'm gonna give it to Japan because I feel like it's a lot more affordable. Even if you live in Tokyo, you can survive pretty well. In America, I felt like I was always living paycheck to paycheck on top of having debt of credit cards and student loans. In Japan, I've actually been able to save money. I've been paying off all of that, and I'm almost at like a healthy financial position in life for the first time, and it feels great. And I don't think I could have done it if I stayed in America. So coming to Japan was a great financial decision for me because you can actually live on what they pay you here. I always explain this to Japanese people, like, why did you leave America? They think America's great. Well, it's not great when you have to pay $600 to $800 a month for healthcare, whereas here it's like less than $200 a month. Or you have to pay, I don't know, $50 to $200 for car insurance, and here I think it's like $100 a month. You don't have to pay like really expensive rent. You can live somewhere for $400 a month and it's actually nice quality. You're not living in a scary ghetto dump. You can actually afford food here pretty easily if you just like eat like convenience store meals or snacks or things, and not do like grocery stores or restaurants. And it's healthier to eat those convenience store meals versus going out for fast food like McDonald's and other cheap options in America. So yeah, I just think cost of living here is pretty good.
So when it comes to cost of living, I'm actually going to give that to Japan as well, just because as a foreigner in Japan, your money actually stretches farther in Japanese yen because it is converted to the US dollars to Japanese yen. Right now I'm paying at least like $1,400 in bills right now, whereas in Japan, I feel like a lot more things are included in my rent. Now, I do have to mention that the places are going to be a lot smaller in Japan than it does in America. But yeah, in Japan, I just feel like a lot more things are cheaper, like the convenience store foods, whereas in America, they like skyrocket the prices just for, you know, the convenience. And I just feel like you can kind of get a better quality of life in Japan than you can here in America. So in conclusion for this video, Japan actually is just more suitable for us. Now this is just our opinions. It might not be the case for everyone, but just in this scenario, it is better for our needs. Now I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to see more in the future, please go ahead and subscribe and go follow me on Instagram at @TheBellaAbroad. I would honestly really appreciate it. Now it was so much fun collabing with my dear friend Megan here, and if you guys want to see more, please be sure to also go to subscribe to her channel and follow her on TikTok and Instagram as well. We're also thinking about collabing in the future, so stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, have a great day. Bye!